Good evening, everybody. I'll call the September meeting of the Delta Township Board to order. Will the board members and guests please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Mojica.
Here.
Trustee Cascarella. Trustee Brewer.
Present.
Trustee Bowen.
Here.
Treasurer Fedewa. Clerk Clark is present. Supervisor Fletcher.
Here.
You have quorum.
Motion to excuse Trustee Cascarella and Treasurer Fedewa would be in order.
So moved.
Been moved. Is there support? There is support. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We have the agenda before us. Any additions or deletions? Motion to approve would be in order.
Oh, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there support?
Support.
There is support. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Public comments. Now is your opportunity. If anybody in the audience would like to speak. Seeing no one coming forward, we will continue on with the.
Mr. Supervisor.
Oh, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Landon Myers. I'm actually an Oneida Township resident, but I just wanted to introduce myself to everyone. I'm running for Eaton County Commission District 2, which has the northwest corner of Delta Township, north of Saginaw, west of 96, and a small part just south of Saginaw, west of Nixon. West of Nixon, yeah. But I just wanted to be out, introduce myself, let you all know I'm here, and just here just to listen in and see how everything's going. And I'm happy to be running and chat with you all. And thank you so much for all the work you do in the township. You all do great work, and really excited to be hopefully working with you coming in the future. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for being here this evening. Anybody else, sir?
Good evening. My name is Roger Smith. I live on Davis Highway. I live across the street from the new GM plant, Altum plant. And my comment today would be this. I've worked very hard. I'm 74 years old. I've worked very hard to reach retirement age and retire. My home is directly across the street from that plant. And I've been told by several people, including people from Windsor Township, that the value of my home because of that plant is going to be going down about 20%. So let's say, for example, if my home is going to be worth $400,000, 20% is $80,000. So because of that plant going up, I'm losing my retirement of $80,000. And it's my understanding, and I hope that you folks can help me out here. It's my understanding that GM is getting a tax incentive from the state for $700 million roughly. I don't know if that's a fact or not, but that's what I've been told. I don't know if you folks can help me out with that number or not. And I don't know if that's also a township part or if that's just state. So my comment today would be there's no recourse that I have of getting that money back. And that leaves me in a very difficult position. And so I'm asking you folks to consider my own position, as well as there's about roughly 9 of us that live up and down the street, right directly across the street from that factory. And so that creates a major issue for us, and we have no recourse. And I think that puts the citizens in a very, very difficult position. I would just ask this question: if any one of you lived across the street, could you afford to lose $80,000 if you were in my position? And I'd be interested in some help as far as just giving me some kind of direction of what my recourse is. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here, sir. Just to let you know that that area is technically, it's in what's called a 425 agreement. So it actually is the city of Lansing in terms of control and jurisdiction over that area. So it is actually technically the city of Lansing that owns and controls it and everything. I would continue to work. They did get, tax incentives from the state of Michigan. I would continue to work with your state representative and state senator on that issue to see if there's anything that they could do to help you with that. Overall, the plant is just is a very big benefit, I think, for this region. The jobs that are being created, and that land has been zoned for industrial purposes for quite some time. So, and GM originally bought that land way back in the early 2000s to build another plant that was well known by everybody. So that's, that's been out there. So in terms of any types of help or support, I would continue to work with your state representatives to see if there's anything they could do for you.
Yes, we have about 8 or 10 of us up and down the street there. And we have reached out to our state senator, and our state senator met with the GM and Altum. And he asked them if there was any compensation that could go back to us because of the difficulty of our situation.
Mm-hmm.
And GM said it's not in the plans, which means they don't have any plan. This is the way I took it.
Right.
They don't have any plan or any concern for us and the loss that we have, yet they have that huge tax incentive from the state. So to me, it doesn't really matter whether it's Township or Lansing or Windsor or whatever it is. We're still losing money. And all the people that we've talked to, and we've talked to our state senators, we've talked to our state representatives, we talked to our federal representatives, and nobody can get anywhere at all for us. And so that creates a major problem for us. I understand it's great for the township, or it's great for the community, or it's great for Central Michigan. But what about us? Is it great for us? And that's what we keep getting told. It's just great. It's great. It's great. We were even told by the Altum manager that the community is happy. Well, we're part of the community and we're not happy. So how can the community be happy if we're not happy? Maybe a fair amount of the community is happy, but us, we're not happy. And I asked the question again, if it were you, would you be happy with an $80,000 loss when you had nothing to do with it whatsoever? Just one day a factory goes up and we lose 20% of our property value. I thank you very much for your time. I just wanted to have a say so that somebody knows what's going on, because if we don't stand up and say something, if I could put it this way, nobody's going to give a rip. We just lose our 20% and life goes on, and too bad for you, citizen. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience this evening? Okay, we'll continue on with the agenda, and we have the consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the board this evening on the items on our consent agenda for approval?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Is there support? There is support. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Brewer,
Yes.
trustee Bowen,
Yes.
trustee Cascarella, trustee Mohica,
Yes.
treasurer Friedel, clerk Clark, yes, supervisor Fletcher.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll move down to our items of business, and we have the SSRP subgrant agreement with LEAP, and the manager's office recommends that the board approve the strategic site readiness program subgrant agreement with LEAP. What's the pleasure of the board on this one? Karen.
Motion to approve entering into the strategic site readiness program subgrant agreement with the Lansing Economic Area Partnership, and authorize township manager to execute all necessary documents.
Is there support?
Support.
Is there any discussion?
I would just like to say for the public record that this is one of the pieces of the aforementioned deal with the state, with the township, with multiple entities to incentivize GM to build here in Delta Township as our public commenter was talking about. So here are some dollars and cents that you can see in our packet from just today. But other than that, I don't have any other comments. This is a large moving thing that has already been approved on many, many levels. Thank you.
Comments? You know, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Brian, what do you have for us on the manager's report?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and board members. Just a couple things I handed out. I know I had emailed it out, but we made a couple minor revisions to our general flyer on the public safety millage proposals. We do have our website up for information and some frequently asked questions on there and some other documents to point the public towards. As you know, the Lansing State Journal did an article, Fox 47 picked up the millage and put some information out. We did put this out in the Talk of the Township, and Delta Now will have a big piece in there, so that will be going out to the public. So we are identifying a date coming up to do public meeting on it as well. So I just wanted to keep you updated on the millage information that we are putting out as a township and that type of thing on both the ballot proposals.
Brian, I have a
Sure.
question. I got a question from a resident about this. They said they read through all the bullet points and then they had more specific questions about, I think it's probably the last one, make continued investments in equipment and training. If part of our public information sessions could include things that would show substantively what the programs are that our officers train in, what the programs are that they're advancing, that sort of thing. Just a little bit more insight into what's going on. This is a higher level because it's a bullet point. So
Sure.
I just want to let you know that I had that question and that's something that we can start pushing out to.
Sure, and we can add that to questions on the website as well.
Wonderful.
And information on that. So yeah, we do have that. Speaking of public meetings, September 21st, the parks will be having their public session for the Parks Master Plan process. Also, a couple events, September 22nd, we are going to have an employee appreciation party. So board members certainly invited. That's a weekday, so we're planning on closing the office a little early that day and have the party at Sharp Park from 3 to 6. It's been a few years since we've been able to have a party with COVID and that type of thing. So wanted to have something before the weather turns and have it outdoors. Appreciate the hard work that our employees have put forth these last few years, and a lot of big projects and a lot of moving pieces. So take at least an afternoon to recognize them and have some food and just be able to get together and that type of thing. Also, September 19th is a board meeting night, but we know that there is some significant progress at the Wharf plant. Wanted to see if board members wanted to take a tour of the construction. So we do have a couple buildings that have been demolished. We have a couple buildings going up, a lot of site work. And something to walk through with with Ernie and Rick and our consultants there, at least to get a kind of eyes on the project in the beginning stages. It's been a lot of work done, but it still is the beginning stages. So very interesting, but I thought it would be convenient to do it before the board meeting, maybe at 4:30. Or 4:45, and then be able to get here before the board meeting. So if there's interest, then we can organize that for the board members. And with that, that's all the updates I have, but happy to take questions, Mr. Supervisor.
Just a question about Delta Crossing. Is there anything new? Haven't heard anything. Has construction picked up again or is still at a?
Well, the construction is ongoing for Olive Garden and the credit union. So if you see the credit union building is nearly, I don't want to say complete, but it's, up. Olive Garden is moving forward. As far as the other components of it, there has not been any substantial update. I have had some back and forth with the group that purchased a lot of the property just on some punch list items, and then the rest of the property right now is in the receiver as part of the lawsuit. So that's, until that's worked out or decided, but I don't have any substantial update on that at this point.
Thank you.
So that means that part of that property is not owned by the Delta Crossings interest anymore?
I think it still is, just when there's a lawsuit going on, they'll often appoint a receiver to control it until things are worked out and what either a settlement or a deal, or if it eventually moves forward to some type of a judgment.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of
That's
times
an
these-
asset. But
Yeah.
you said there was something else, some other piece of property, some group
Well,
purchase.
yeah, the BJ's and several of the buildings in phase one were
Mhm.
purchased by Spirit
Separately.
Realty, which is a investment firm. That was before any of the lawsuit. Just investment companies that purchase properties like this, so nothing out of the ordinary. So they've just been engaged with trying to figure out what any remaining punch list items from construction and that type of thing.
Good. And I often get asked about the home store. When will that be open?
Mhm. Sure,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Any other questions for Brian? Okay, great. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate the updates. Now we move on to our committee of the whole discussion. And the first discussion is the housing data discussion. So we have Ted Drosty to come up and walk us through some information about apartments and everything else in the township dealing with housing.
Thank you very much. I'll let Brian get caught up here.
You have the B team on IT tonight.
And I'm old fashioned. I bring paper. I don't have a laptop or anything up here, so. Well, as he's getting started, I mean, this is just kind of a follow-up or kind of a baseline, if you will, of, if you remember, the board's strategic plan created a key objective of encouraging diverse population, including a full range of housing under the community vitality section. So that's where I came in, is to kind of put all of this information together, and a lot of information it is. So again, just a starting point, and we'll kind of take each year as we go, but that's where this came from, is Brian asked me to put the stats together, and that's what we've done. So the first thing I'd like to go over is the multifamily apartment summary. So what I've done here is taken every multifamily or apartment complex we have in the township, arrayed them by the year they were built, and put them all in order. So essentially what it comes down to is we have 4,991 apartment units in the township. Built over many years. Just to recap real briefly, so I did break them apart, based in a decade. So in post 2020, we've had just the 86 units that are currently under construction at Redwood 2. From 2010 to 20, we had 199 units built. From 2000 to 2010, we had 393. And then prior to that is when we kind of had some really big 10-year periods. But in the 90s, we built 1,269. In the 80s, 768. In the 70s, 1,893. And prior to that, 383. So again, all those added together give us the 4,991 total. But again, built over a 50+ year period. The next part is what you're seeing there is just the geographic, or the map, if you will, where these are all located. So where they exist on the earth. One thing I'll point out with that is it's pretty obvious that the first wave back in the 60s, 70s clustered around the mall. And since that time, the majority of them are built kind of within a 1 mile radius of where we're at right here. So, and then there's obviously some other ones that are scattered here and there, but the big numbers are kind of follow the mall in the beginning and near this township hall, or within a mile since that time. So that that's the beginning part of the housing study are the about 5,000 apartment units that we have. And I should say, anytime anybody has questions, just flag me and we'll just take questions as I go. It's probably a little easier that way. Next section would be the multifamily rent statistics. So we go to every one of these apartment complexes every year or look at their webpage and gather a bunch of data. And what I gave you is a summary of the last 3-year period. So I give you 20, 21, and 22. And then I break it apart based on how many bedrooms are in, that apartment complex. So the 1 bedroom versus 2 versus 3 versus 4. But and then my summary would be, I give you an average 1 bedroom rent each year, and then the range from high to low. So as an example, and I won't go through them all, but a 1 bedroom in 2020, the average rent was $790, and that low was $500, and the high was $1,075. In 2021, those numbers, the average went to $875, the low was $500, the high was $1,100, and then a lot of them changed in between as well. But and then 2022, you can see that they went up again. So again, I did the same thing, separating out 2 bedrooms, 3s, and the few that we have that have 4 bedrooms. So just to give you an idea of kind of the pattern, I guess, over the last 3 years, going up kind of across the board. And then the only other thing I'll add is the average occupancy across all of our apartments, for the most part, is really, really good at 98%. And I don't have that number exact, but I can tell you that almost all of them tell us that, we might have a unit becoming vacant at the end of the month. It's not like they have 5 of them to choose from where folks, can just move around. They're pretty darn full. So,
Ted, I have a question.
yes.
What is considered affordable housing rent range? I know this is what we have, but what is considered based on the poverty line and that sort of thing? Can you give us a number or a range?
I can't. And maybe I can research something like that, but are you saying, so say for a 2-bedroom unit, or I have a family of 4, I need a 2-bedroom using affordable housing, what can I afford in rent, or what should the target be?
Yeah, what is the average, what is considered? Take 150% of the poverty line
Okay.
income wise, and then what is considered affordable housing out of that? If it's like a third of that income, what would that range be?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that number, but it's interesting to me too. So I'll see if I can find something on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So that's the rent. The next category of housing that I broke down was assisted living or care facilities. So I'll call them kind of short-term places folks go for different circumstances and situations. We have 6 properties that are listed under this category, 360 units, all, well, they're not all newer, but so they're built from 69 to 2014. And again, 360 units in that category. Again, gave you a map at the bottom so you can see where they're physically located within the township. The next section of housing is the elderly or disabled family housing, or what's commonly referred to as the 211-7D properties. So we only have 2 of these in Delta, and they're properties that must be owned by owned and operated by a nonprofit entity. So it can't be that an investor does these kind of properties unless they're, they have to be, again, associated with a nonprofit corporation. So what these do, they're a little bit unique. They are technically PILT properties, meaning they don't pay property taxes, but by law, I assess them similar to all properties. And then the year after they're built, I do assign a taxable value, and that taxable value sticks with that property during the duration. And the tax bill is actually paid as a PILT from the state of Michigan to us versus the owner of the property. So we do get property taxes indirectly on these. Just not directly from the owner or the nonprofit corporation. So they're kind of unique, and we do have a couple of them. One of them's right behind Kohl's. It's called Allison House, and the other is the VOA on Michigan Avenue. You're probably familiar with that. So that's those. The next section has to do with single family and condo properties. So this is a majority of what we have, obviously. We have about 10,000 residential improved properties throughout the township. Obviously broke down in 4 different school districts is how I've done it here. And then again, I've done it based on statistics for 2020, 21, and 22. So again, we have about 10,000 total, and I wanted to note that about 15% of them are condos as well. So that's honestly kind of a high percent. Not that it's good or it's bad. I mean, it's kind of good because it's diverse, but we do have 1,523 condo units as part of the 10,000. Now, I won't go through every school district, but just to give you an example, like using Waverly right at the top. So you can see it broke apart by 3 years. And as an example, in 2022, we currently have 4,479 properties, improved residential properties within Waverly. They have an average value of 179,346 and generate a tax bill of approximately $3,054 per year. And there's again, a bunch of other statistics or other numbers that are in there that, you can obviously use for whatever you want to use them for, but essentially that's what it boils down to is the average value, the tax bill, and then the average sale price that I'm going to have charted for the last 2 years and will include for 2022 once this year is over. But you will see a trend across all school districts that, everywhere, frankly, these days, the value is increasing pretty significantly in the residential class. Grand Ledge schools, similar thing. Again, it was the same exercise. I just broke apart the numbers based on school district because that's how a lot of folks look at them. So that's how I did it. But again, Grand Ledge would have 5,297 improved residential properties, a average true cash value of 241,261, generating a tax bill of 3,465, and having an average sale price of 262,151 in 2021. Again, then Lansing School follows and Holt after that. So same exercise, different school district. As part of the strategic plan, it was also stated we should track and state the new housing starts. So that's what this is, and we'll continue to do that. Real quick, in 2018, we had 49, 1931, 2020, we had 26, in 2021, 53, and this year to date, we have 27 permits pulled for new houses. So that's what that represents. And then the next 4 maps, if you will just show you charted by year geographically where those properties were located within the township. Next housing category are the duplex properties. Again, same exercise, breaking apart for during a 3-year period. We currently have 139 properties classified as duplexes. So those 159 properties have an average value of $157,260, generate a tax bill of $3,677, and have a market value of $170,845. And again, just in the yellow, you'll see the keys on the map there of where those duplexes are located within the township. Yes.
So we're counting those separately from the apartments that we looked at
Absolutely.
earlier, but these are all rentals, most rentals, some owned?
I would say, no. Most of them are rentals on both sides, but I would say probably 10 to 15% of them, the owner occupies half.
Half of it
Yep.
and rents the other.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm. And I can track that exact number based on homestead status too. So, but that is correct. And these numbers are completely separate from the other ones. Next page represents the 300 or so single family homes we have in the rental inspection program. And all I'm doing there is showing you where those rental inspections are done in which part of the township in where you can see where the majority are or things like that. So that's all that map there is representing is physically where the 300 houses are located. I think it's
Sorry,
pretty.
Ted, I'm sorry. to
No,
ask so many
good,
questions, but do you have the numbers on the rents for these as well?
I don't
Because-
get those.
Okay,
You know, we will hopefully maybe start getting that. It wouldn't be through my department because we don't track the financials on these. It would have to be when Joe taxpayer applies for a rental inspection and on that form, we could ask. I don't know if legally or they have to give us that information, but we could ask.
yeah. It would just be
Yeah.
interesting to see the amount of rent that's being
It
paid for
would.
houses versus apartments. And
Absolutely.
thank you.
And it would be a quite a range, just because the housing stock ranges so much. I mean, we have some lower end, and then there's some pretty darn nice neighborhoods that are all rentals now, so those would be high. But no, I don't have that.
I think we did start asking that on our rental applications, but only a third of them come up for
Every year.
every year. So it's gonna take a while to get a full set
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
data. And as Ted said, if you know, they're not required to, but we have started asking that, I
Is
believe.
there any way we can incentivize landlords to provide that information to us? Is there any advantage to them that we could provide by knowing, where the affordable housing is and, any kind of within our strategic plan, thinking forward about diverse housing and what we've got versus what we need? And it just, I don't know,
Okay.
something to think about.
Yeah.
And then just the last set of pictures here, if you will, are just new residential plats currently under construction and in various stages of development. You know, as an example, Wind Trace, and you're probably familiar with all these because you guys see the final plats on them. But anyways, this would be one that's, a mix of some vacant lots still available, some being built on currently, but one under construction. So Wind Trace is that one. Shadow Glen has been active for 10, 15 years or so. That's a very good one as well. Probably getting closer to full versus available until they open another phase, but that's one under construction. Next one is Village Place, been going on for 20+ years. Also off from Nixon Road, still some vacant lots available there. But many of them are built on. And the final two that I'm showing are the remnant parcels that are adjacent to Mount Hope Park on the north side of Ashford Manor and Point West, just the two open spots that are still there. Are these currently, do you see these yet or? Nothing yet. Okay.
If they're both owned by the same entity, Eastwood Homes.
Yeah,
No activity.
yep. So anyways, I mean, it's just logical, I guess, that these will go someday, but there would be another probably 15 or 20 lots per subdivision.
They're
No.
doing a big subdivision in DeWitt Township right now on Clark Road.
Yeah, they are. I saw that.
I mean, we have several also things. Single family. That is significant.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, and along with that, the last one I was gonna mention, because Gary brought it up at our last directors meeting, was Echo Valley. So again, an old subdivision that's been sitting there. The vacant land's been sitting there for years and it's been purchased and is now, instead of being single family, I believe it's gonna be site condos, but that's gonna be a development that's coming soon too, so. So that's kind of the summary I have of housing statistics, kind of about different types of property, different numbers. But again, hopefully just a baseline. That's something we can look at every year to see which direction we're going and how things are gonna shake out. Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, just a question about the multifamily apartment summary.
Mhm.
Is there any data on if they're subsidized or income based?
There is not.
Okay.
There's not. Honestly, I don't know if we have any that fit that category anymore. That, I mean, maybe they are, but as far as from, how I look at them, I don't track that
You wouldn't know.
information.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else?
Okay, I guess we can move on then to the next item on the agenda, which is the IFT report.
Thank you, Ted. Great.
Goes that?
I said thank you to Ted. It was good, very good information.
You're welcome. Happy to do it. Next one is our annual IFT audit. So this is basically, you're probably familiar with the drill, but it's an annual audit of the businesses that have active IFTs or tax abatements within the township. So what we do, the purpose of this is to audit the business to make sure that they are attempting to retain the number of employees they pledged or hire as many employees as they pledged they would when they did the original application. So again, we've been doing this for several years now, and to me, this was a really good response. We currently have 7 companies that have exceeded what they had pledged, and one unfortunately has not, but, you know, to me, the easiest way to look at this is the bar chart on the last page. If you want to go to that one, Brian, because it's a good summary and I can go through it pretty quick. So as an example, Douglas Steel, who has an active IFT, pledged to retain 35 jobs or create 35 jobs, and they did 41. Airlift pledged 200, have created 240. Alliance pledged 115, created 134. Woodbridge pledged 257, currently have 277. Magna or Norplus, the one that hasn't quite made it, and remember, this has been a 5-year thing now, have pledged 502, and they're currently at 452, which is 20, 30 more than last year, which obviously is a good trend to see. Next one is Midwest Press, pledged 45, actually have 69 now. Munters has pledged 73, currently have hired 78, 2 of which are temps. All of the other ones, by the way, we do ask the question, is it a temporary employee, part-time employee, or full-time? So that is, they're all reporting those numbers to us now. And Munters was the only one that said of the 78, 2 of them are temps. Capital Asphalt, formerly known as Superior Asphalt, pledged 12 at the time of their construction and currently have created 18 jobs. So again, just a real brief summary of the 7 that we have, and pretty good results, I think, of compliance.
Right, absolutely. And once again, you know, with the Norplast one, you know, they're tied to General Motors, and when General Motors has issues such as they have had with the chip shortages and had shutdowns and things of that nature, my guess is
Exactly.
obviously they don't need the employees.
Yep, exactly.
Any other questions for Ted? Right.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate all the
Thank you.
information
Thank you.
you provided us with tonight. Very helpful. Anybody have anything else they would like to raise? Before we take final public comment? Is there any final public comment this evening from the audience? Okay, none, we'll see no further business before us. We are adjourned.
A lot of information.
One thing.